We're only doing the 3-game Thursday slate on Need to Know this week, so enjoy your Thanksgiving. Game 1 is the Falcons at the Saints, with a total of 59.5, and the Saints favored by 11. There's only 6 quarterbacks to choose from on this slate, and 2 of them are backups, so you know ownership will concentrate on the 2 quarterbacks from this game. Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan had his best game of the year against these Saints in Week 3, but now faces a much improved defense in the Superdome. The volume is always there for Ryan in one of the league's highest volume passing attacks, and he has over 300 passing yards in his road games, so I like playing Ryan as long as you're low owned at other positions. Leading receiver Julio Jones has been a model of consistency, going over 100 yards in 6 of his last 7 games, and catching touchdowns in his last 3. The only knock on Julio is that he'll be owned by half the field. Second option Calvin Ridley had his best game of the season against these same Saints corners in that Week 3 game, and his price has been dropping for 2 weeks following quiet box scores. I don't expect Ridley to outperform Julio, but he might be the better play if he's half his own. And Mohamed Sanu has 19 targets in his last 3 games, plus the appeal of being passed over by many fantasy players. The Saints have been tough against tight ends, but that won't discourage people from playing Austin Hooper, who has big box scores in 3 of his last 6. Hooper's most targeted games have been in shootouts and losses, so the game script sets up well in the Superdome on Thursday. The Saints have the league's best run defense, and the game script makes it unlikely that the Falcons will be the ones to change that. That means running back Tevin Coleman will likely need a big receiving number to pay off his salary, which is possible with his ability to break big plays. Coleman's only getting 12.5 touches per game over his last 6, while change of pace back Ito Smith has single-digit touches in 3 of his last 4. I wouldn't touch Smith on FanDuel, but he's nearly min-priced on DraftKings and does have 4 touchdowns this season. Plus, you gotta hit on somebody low-owned to win this slate. There's many ridiculous stats about the season Drew Brees is having, but I think my favorite one is that he's thrown 25 touchdowns and just 1 interception. Brees has multiple touchdown passes in every home game this season, and has gone over 300 yards passing in all but 1. With so few options at quarterback, I think nearly half the field will take Brees. Somehow, Saints leading receiver Michael Thomas has caught over 90% of his targets on the season, which is only a little higher than the crazy ownership he'll have on Thursday. I plan on fading Thomas on this slate. Of course, he could have a huge game against this awful Falcons secondary, but all of Thomas's least targeted games this year were in blowout wins. I'd rather chase the points from Traquan Smith, whose massive line last week will make him extra popular. And it's hard to say what's going on with the Saints' tight ends. Ben Watson is technically the number 1, but only has 2 targets in his last 2 games, while Josh Hill got 4 last game and 0 the week before. If you really want to get sneaky and gamble, take a look at recently signed Brandon Marshall, who should be active for this game, but probably won't see much use. I'd rather get my exposure to the Saints through their running backs. The Falcons are allowing huge numbers to opposing backfields, including a league-high 8.5 receptions per game. That sets up well for both Saints running backs, and especially Alvin Kamara, who should be the 3rd or 4th highest owned player on this small slate. I liked Mark Ingram a lot last week, but his 2-touchdown performance has driven up his price on both sites. You can't go wrong with either player, but this week I prefer Kamara and his still heavy red zone usage.